The inevitable AI in gaming conversation progresses further as Microsoft embraces some interesting tactics, major game delay, and major studio closures and shakeups in the industry. So it's going to be a little bit of good news and bad news. Welcome to this week's Game News Show. Let's kick things off with Pokemon Presents. We got Pokemon Day on February 27th, 6 a.m. Pacific time. I did a predictions video on this last week, like the day after this announcement went up, and I have some thoughts. Quickly, though, we're going to see Pokemon games. We're going to see some mobile games. We're going to see some animation of some sort. And Pokemon Legends ZA, which I'm super hyped for. That's the only reason I want to watch this. And a potential remake announcement, right? Like, that's what I'm thinking. There might be some surprises. I hope I'm surprised. I would love to be surprised with this. But anyway, so yeah, that's what's up there. Yeah, so that's Pokemon Day. We'll have a live reaction to this here on the channel, wherever you're watching this. And I also stream too. So yeah, enjoy that. But anyway, let's move on to our next thing. After failing to meet expectations at launch, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth shoots to number 3 in US charts with Steam debut. So I wanted to touch on this because we covered the reactions by Square last year when 7 Rebirth launched, and the sales reports came out, and Square was like, hey, you know what? That's not doing as well as we hoped it would because it launched exclusively on PlayStation. Well, now that it's hit Steam, number 3 on the US charts. This is on IGN, courtesy of Rebecca Valentine. Top spot, of course, goes to Call of Duty, again, on Steam. Yikes. Says January is always a quiet month for video games, and 2025 was no exception, with only one new game release cracking the top 20 and the predictable domination of Call of Duty. There's little to crow about from last month, except perhaps what may be a comeback story for one of last year's alleged sales disappointments, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Rebirth debuted February 2024 at number 2 on Circana's charts, which rank video games by dollar sales in the US. It dropped to number 7 the following month. Finished out the year at number 17. While those numbers are respectable, post-launch there were numerous questions about whether or not the game had done well enough for Square Enix tastes, or even especially well in comparison to other major RPGs in the same year, like Dragon's Dogma 2 or its predecessor Final Fantasy VII Remake. Square Enix ultimately came out saying the game failed to meet its sales expectations, and even announced a sales figure suggesting it hadn't done well enough to brag about. Interesting wording there. All right, anyway. So, yeah, it was like, I'm not going to read the rest of this. We get the gist, right? Rebirth didn't meet expectations last year when it was a PS5 exclusive, selling really well on Steam already. I think it's pretty great. Good for them. Good for Square. PvP shooter Mecha Break, in our next story, is dominating Steam Next Fest, which is going on at the time of this recording, with player numbers matching Marvel Rivals and GTA 5, even as it suffers mostly negative reviews. This was published earlier today. Mecha Break is a mech RPG multiplayer game. Looks awesome. I don't think it's an RPG. It's a PvP shooter. Looks great. The official Steam Next Fest page ranks Mecha Break's beta as top game in popular up-and-coming top demos categories. That means it's topped by most wishlist and daily active users, respectively. In its top spot in trending upcoming category is thwarted only by a delightfully charming-looking fishing RPG. If you want hard numbers, we can head over to the concurrent player charts. SteamDB shows that Mecha Break reached a peak of 256,783 simultaneous players today at the time of this article being published. Makes it the 5th biggest game on Steam in the past 24 hours, just behind Marvel Rivals and well ahead of venerable favorites like GTA 5, Rust, and Apex Legends. One area Mecha Break isn't doing so well is the old player review scores. Demo is currently sitting at mostly negative, with just 33% positive reviews. The complaints range from a sluggish gameplay to an overlong tutorial and aggressive monetization. A lot of negative reviews also come from the first day of the beta, when the game was suffering serious server issues. It's clear there's a lot of early interest in Mecha Break, but time will tell if those issues... Mecha Break, sorry. Boo, get out of here. Bad jokes are bad. Make or break the game's long-term chances of success. Our own early impressions of Mecha Break. All right, anyway. So this game was in alpha. It looked awesome, but it's really cool to see that the open beta came out and it's doing really well. I have yet to experience it. Looking forward to it. I'm hoping it's good, but I definitely need to get it installed. Call of Duty admits it's using AI generated assets. Tell us something we don't know, Activision. All right, this is on Game Rant. Motion Backery. Mosin. Sorry, I can't read. I don't know how to read. Anyway, the summary. Let's skip the summary. Activision has been forced to break its silence, admitting to using generative AI to develop some Call of Duty assets. The company had ignored allegations since they first gained traction during the Modern Warfare 3 era. However, a specific policy change from Steam left Activision with no choice but to reveal the truth. Bum bum bum. Players have long accused Call of Duty of using AI, pointing to numerous suspicious in-game assets like skins, camos, and calling cards that looked oddly unnatural. One of the most controversial discoveries was the zombie Santa Claus loading screen art, which depicted a character with 6 fingers. However, that was just one high-profile case. Fans have been sharing many other bizarre in-game artworks long before that. Activision's admission of using generative AI comes via a brief disclaimer on Call of Duty Black Ops 6's Steam page, stating, "Our team uses generative AI tools to help develop some in-game assets." While the statement may seem harmless, it has sparked a backlash from the community as the vague wording suggests Call of Duty might be selling AI-generated cosmetics, something most fans have no interest in paying for. Notably, Modern Warfare 3's Steam page hasn't been updated with the new disclaimer, suggesting that it may not have used AI-generated art despite ongoing speculations. So this comes from Charlie Intel over on X, where it says, Activision has now confirmed some in-game content in Call of Duty is AI generated, and it's because Steam requires them to disclose that they're using AI tools to generate content, which is one of the best transparency requirements, I think, of all time, because we need to know, right? Like, are you using people or are you using automation and AI to like develop your game? And I think this label will become more commonplace. Maybe it won't be as necessary, but I hope it sticks around. You know, the article goes on to talk about, AI implementation, but I think that's the main point here is people can tell, right? Like right now we can tell most of the time when AI is being used or leaned on heavily. I think by and large, people don't want AI generated stuff in all of their games. I think most people want to know that somebody worked on it, somebody's getting paid. I don't know how this like helps Activision financially, because does this save them money, or are they paying for like a whatever tools they're using to generate? Are they paying license fees? I guess somebody getting compensated for the work that's being done. I don't know. Likely not. Likely not. I mean, it's Microsoft tools, in-house Activision. I don't really know. But the fact that like they're leaning on AI to churn this stuff out faster, and then that means there's probably a lot less human interaction with the assets themselves, aside from like a quick verification. Hey, does this look weird? Which clearly fails, because 6-fingered zombie Santa Claus here is a problem. Some of this other stuff I think also falls in that line. Weapon skins mostly have been criticized. But yeah, it's just, I'm not a big fan of like pure AI driven development. But I have a like a sinking feeling that that's where we're headed. The games industry, the software industry, pretty much everywhere, and it's not a good feeling. But what can we do? The Pandora's box has been opened when it comes to AI. There's no shoving that back in there. Like, Activision's going to use it. They're probably going to use it more, and it's just not going to be, as people driven, I guess. But shout out to Steam for making it obvious. But speaking of Microsoft and AI, this week on Xbox Wire, empowering creators and players with Muse, a generative AI model for gameplay. Yes, this is as weird and odd and uncozy as it sounds. In nearly every corner of our lives, the buzz about AI is impossible to ignore. It's destined to revolutionize how we work, learn, and play. For those of us immersed in the world of gaming, whether as players or creators, the question isn't just how AI will change the game, but how it will ignite new possibilities. At Xbox, we're all about using AI to make things better and more fun for players and game creators. We want to bring more games to more people around the world and always stay true to the creative vision and artistry of game developers. We believe generative AI can boost this creativity and open up new possibilities. We're excited to announce a generative AI breakthrough published today in the journal Nature and announced by Microsoft Research that shows this potential to open up new possibilities, including the opportunity to make older games accessible to future generations of players across new devices in new ways. Introducing Muse, a generative AI model for gameplay ideation. So I'm just going to get to the bold here. What's groundbreaking about Muse is its detailed understanding of the 3D game world, including game physics and how the game reacts to players' controller actions. It allows the model to create consistent and diverse gameplay rendered by AI, demonstrating a major step towards generative AI models that can empower game creators. All right, so what this sounds like and what they're talking about here is using essentially something akin to ChatGPT to generate playable game segments with using existing game footage as like a base and then generating new game stuff that you couldn't play before. Now, I mean, that shouldn't surprise anybody. We were gonna go this way. I just feel like this is going to happen. What I'm not a big fan of is how likely Microsoft is going to lean into this across their entire publishing arm at this point. Here, they talk about what Muse means for gaming. Although it's still early, this model research is pushing the boundaries of what we thought was possible. Gross. We're already using Muse to develop a real-time playable AI model trained on other first-party games, and we see potential for this work to one day benefit both players and game creators, from allowing us to revive nostalgic games to faster creative ideation. Today, countless games tied to aging hardware are no longer playable by most people. Thanks to this breakthrough, though, we're exploring the potential for Muse to take older back catalog games from our studios and optimize them for any device. Excuse me. We believe this could radically change how we preserve and experience classic games in the future and make them accessible to more players. So this is where I'm like kind of on board. If the AI models they're using can like read base code or observe gameplay, I don't know how it would work, and then fix that game to run on modern hardware or remaster that game, sure, that would be cool. That would mean game preservation isn't as much of a chore as it is now. You know, a lot of old, like especially super old PC games, or you think about like Flash games and stuff that weren't preserved, we're now at a point where maybe AI could help preserve those or bring them forward into now for everybody to play. And I can get behind that. You know, I just don't want it to replace creativity and the need for people to develop new ideas or even like reiterate on existing ideas. That's my biggest approach. I don't, I guess I'm, old man yells at cloud here, but I don't want to see people replaced and like the way people think being replaced for cheap AI ideas that cost nothing to produce and have very little substance to them. Because that's what's like kind of creeping me out with this stuff. But they go on to talk about down here Xbox's approach to generative AI. Oh, excuse me. Xbox has been innovating with AI and machine learning for decades, including in partnership with Microsoft Research, constantly working to find ways to delight players and harness new computing capabilities to bring creative visions to life. While AI isn't new to gaming, we're now seeing an acceleration of generative AI research, both within Microsoft and across the broader technology community. We believe it's important to shape how these new generative AI breakthroughs can support our industry and game creation community in a collaborative and responsible way. They're not gonna they're gonna put the buzzwords in and make it sound like fluffy and nice and neat. And I hate to be so skeptical of this because I'm hoping, they mention here something about commitment to responsible AI and dedication to developing AI solutions guided by 6 principles: fairness, reliability, safety, privacy, security, inclusiveness, transparency, and accountability. That's all well and good. But like, what is this? How does this affect jobs and creativity? Is it an add-on? Is it an ancillary like product? Kind of like, you know, um performance monitoring on a sports car doesn't make the sports car better to drive. It just gives you more information, and you get more feedback about the tool, as opposed to self-driving Teslas that completely, replace the need excuse me, the need for you to drive it. That's what I'm worried about here. And I hate to be so negative, but they're leaning all into this, and we haven't seen anything on our end except, Activision generating skins and stuff. But even that has gotten a lot of negative blowback because it's like, well, you're just selling me AI trash. Maybe it gets better. It'll get to a point where it's indetectable or undetectable by players, I guess. But that's where we are now. Let me move off of this because I just feel like I'm just starting to sound like more paranoid and insane. Maybe they'll make a good case for it, but I don't know. It's not there yet. But that was Xbox's own news site sharing news about Muse. Hopefully I didn't ramble too much. Let's move on to our next topic. All right. I thought I cut this one out, but we left it anyway. Xbox Game Studios boss says multi-platform approach is good for players and developers. Everyone that makes a game wants it to reach as many players as possible, says Craig Duncan, who is the head of Xbox Game Studios. See, this is from, who is this? VGC. Multiple former Xbox exclusives have been released for PS5 and or Switch over the past year, including Sea of Thieves, a game which Duncan oversaw the launch of during his previous role as boss of developer Rare. During the latest official Xbox podcast, which is viewable below, he was asked what he thinks the Xbox community should take away from Microsoft's multi-platform approach. Yeah, I think it's good for gamers. I think it's good for our studios. Our studios make amazing games. We want to give those games the chance to reach the broadest audience possible. So that's kind of what we talked about last week. The article goes on to talk about all the games coming to PS5 or that have already come to PS5 from Microsoft or Xbox Game Studios as a first party. Anyway, I mean, what else is he going to say? This is what we talked about last week. They got to make money off of buying Activision, so they got to sell more games to more people. So, it's more of that. Anyway, let's move on. All right, big game delay. Fable was supposed to come out this year, delayed to 2026, but Xbox Game Studio head, the guy we were talking about in the last article, says it's definitely worth the wait. The Fable reboot, initially scheduled to release sometime this year, has been delayed to 2026. We're actually going to give Fable more time, Craig Duncan says in the podcast that we just referenced earlier. While I know that's not maybe the news people want to hear, what I want to assure people of is that it's definitely worth the wait. Playground, the Forza Horizon developer, has already made, quite frankly, the most beautifully realized version of Albion you've ever seen. The Xbox director continues. I have unequivocal confidence in the Playground team. If you think about their history and legacy for Forza Horizon, the last 2 games critically acclaimed, award-winning, beautiful, played great. Xbox first revealed Fable in 2020, but it's been reticent, what a word, about sharing more details about the action RPG, the first game to join the irreverent fantasy series in nearly 2 decades. Fable didn't get a full trailer until 2023, though Duncan shared fresh pre-alpha footage during his official Xbox podcast appearance, claiming the sting of Fable's delay a little bit. Calming. Well, I mean, that's when they announced the delay, right? The new clips show off Fable's lush, flower-spotted environments and dynamic sword combat, and Duncan adds that the game's quests, boss battles, and magic all felt amazing during his hands-on time. Genuinely beautiful, he says. It's very real. Everything you're seeing here is very playable. Take my word for it. So, yeah, while it got delayed, Playground probably just need a little more time to put a little more polish on it. Delays suck, but I feel like, it's better to push it and make it better than release it early and make everybody mad. We've already been waiting on this game for a long time. It's hard to believe. 5 years ago was 2020, but here we are, and time doesn't slow down for anyone. But what's one more year, right? There's plenty coming out we have to play, so hopefully they make it good. All right, let's move on. Okay, I think this is nope, almost. All right, so this week, ID at Xbox showcased a bunch of stuff over on IGN. A bunch of indie titles coming to the Xbox platform, which we talk about a lot here on this channel because, I don't know, I've been an Xbox fan for a while. But I thought it was neat. A bunch of these games might have already been out, but if you have an Xbox, you can now check out, or will be checking out, 33 Immortals on March 18th. Balatro hit Game Pass, which was super cool. It was like a shadow drop. So if you haven't played this game, definitely check it out now. It's on Game Pass. I believe console and PC. Yes, Windows PC and console. So awesome. Blueprints. This looked interesting. Launching with Game Pass on April 10th. Buckshot Roulette. I've seen some people play this. It looks weird. It's been on PC for a long time. But it's coming to Xbox as a release and also hitting Game Pass. Descenders Next, launching April 9th, the cool snowboarding game. Echo Weaver coming to Xbox and Game Pass. Again, some of these might be out on like Switch or something else, but like these are announced for Game Pass or coming to Xbox fresh. Herdling coming to Xbox and Game Pass. Did that say? No, just Xbox and PC. My bad. Hotel Barcelona launching in 2025. Looks trippy. Jump Ship coming to Xbox Game Preview. This one looked kind of interesting. It says puts you in charge of a spaceship and asks you to take on foot combat sections, seamlessly transitioning between the two. New trailer gives us a taste of how you'll work together to survive. Not to mention its tongue-in-cheek approach to bombastic action. Lies of P Overture, which we knew about from the State of Play. Lonesome Guild looks adorable. Moonlighter 2, The Endless Vault. Okay. Outbound, coming to Xbox in 2026. And Ratatan, coming to Xbox. This is from the people that made Patapon, which is a really fun rhythm game. And you can look at it and see that the Patapon inspiration is still there. So it's cool that they're putting out something new, even though they had to come up with a different name. Revenge of the Savage Planet, coming to Game Pass on May 8th. Rock Beast, this was a world premiere. This looks weird. Tanuki Pond Summer, coming to Game Pass. This looks adorable. Timpopo, coming to Game Pass. This also looks like a neat rhythm game. I don't know, though. We'll have to check it out. Tron Catalyst, I believe this was like a visual novel kind of game. It looked interesting. Ultimate Sheep Raccoon, those are words that I just said, coming to Game Pass. Waxheads, launching summer 2026. I think I saw this one before too. Woodo, also coming to Xbox. And that's it. That was a bunch of games they showed, a bunch of reveals they had. Kind of cool to see. My bad. Anyway, yeah, so, a bunch of cool indie titles. Again, some of these we already knew about. Some of these have been out on PC for a while, but it's cool to see them come to Game Pass and or Xbox. More people can play them. Yay. All right, moving on to our next topic. All right, this is a big story. Warner Brothers reportedly cancels Wonder Woman, closes Monolith and other studios. And then in an update, this on Eurogamer update, Warner Brothers confirms report blames strategic change in direction. You can't blame the strategic change in direction when it was your idea to change the strategic direction. Okay. I'm just going to put that out. Like, you can't go, well, it's because something happened and it was an internal something. It's like, well, yes, we did these because we made the decision to, right? I hate to I hate to be super negative, but a lot of these cancellations and studio closures have hit a lot of people over the last year or two. Blame's not wanting to. All right, so this is the latest update. Warner Brothers has confirmed reports of Wonder Woman's cancellation and closure of its three studios. Three of its studios, Monolith Productions, Player First Games, and Warner Brothers Games San Diego, calling the move a strategic change in direction. We've had to make some very difficult decisions to structure our development studios and investments around building the best games possible with our key franchises, Harry Potter, Mortal Kombat, DC, and Game of Thrones, the publisher wrote in a statement to Kotaku. After careful consideration, we're closing three of our development studios, Monolith Productions, Player First Games, and Warner Brothers Games San Diego, with a strategic change in direction and not a reflection of these teams or the talent that consists within them. Which is crazy, because Wonder Woman got teased, shown, we knew it was happening, and then it disappeared. And then we got rumors it was canceled, only to find out it is indeed canceled. Development of Monolith's Wonder Woman video game will not move forward. Our hope was to give players and fans the highest quality experience possible for the, it says Ionic, but I assume they meant iconic character. And unfortunately, this is no longer possible with our strategic priorities. This is another tough decision as we recognize Monolith's storied history of delivering epic fan experiences through amazing games. We greatly admire the passion of the three teams and thank every employee for their contributions, Warner Brothers concluded. As difficult as today is, we remain focused on and excited about getting back to producing high-quality games for our passionate fans and developed by our world-class studios and getting our games business back to profitability and growth in 2025 and beyond. So, yeah, kind of a bummer. The rest of the article goes and talks about the original reveal from what's his name over at Bloomberg, Schreier. Blew the story up, blew the lid off of it, I guess. But it just sucks because like Monolith was working on some cool stuff, or had worked on some cool stuff, and then now it's just like, all right, bye, you're done, get out. Whatever you're working on is done. Which, if they couldn't get the game to a place that was like acceptable or looked engaging or interesting enough, I can understand that. It's just they've had a long time working on this game for it to just be trashed. Like, how close was it to being finished? And then we talked about Multiversus shutting down. That team is gone. The people that worked on the game is gone. So it's a bummer. I really hope that everybody there either has a plan or opportunities await them. Here's wishing the best for them, right? All right, let's move on to our next thing. So speaking of closers, NetEase has been restructuring. We talked about the team at Marvel Rivals, the US team that got laid off. I don't know if we talked about it here on Game News, but it was a support team. The entire team got laid off, and then people ran with the story. It was all over the place. Because NetEase is restructuring, while Star Wars Eclipse Studio lead assures fans that Quantic Dream developers remain unaffected by NetEase layoffs and are continuing to develop our projects at full pace. So the conversation shifted when NetEase started talking about restructuring, that like, hey, wasn't Quantic Dream, the studio owned by NetEase, developing Star Wars Eclipse? And so let's read the article a little bit, get a little more context. Reports of funding cuts and layoffs in NetEase circulate. Associated video game companies like Quantic Dream are assuring the public that their developers aren't affected, and neither are their games, including upcoming titles like Star Wars Eclipse. Star Wars Eclipse, described by Quantic Dream as the team's most ambitious project yet, is still in the works, and a CEO, it's a French guy, not even going to attempt the name. Recent LinkedIn post is anything to go by. Its production hasn't been impacted by NetEase's financial circumstances or any of its layoffs. We were deeply saddened to learn about the recent layoffs and studio closures affecting some of the NetEase Group's divisions, writes the company lead. Our thoughts are with everyone impacted, and we sincerely hope that they quickly find new opportunities continues Frenchman who is in charge, going on to reassure readers that neither Quantic Dream nor its games in development have been affected. We want to reassure everyone that our studios in Paris and Montreal remain unaffected. We are continuing to develop our projects at full pace with several open positions available in both locations. He then explained NetEase's relationship with Quantic Dream over time from the beginning. Founded 28 years ago, Quantic Dream remains committed to a strategy outlined by David and I in 2019 when NetEase initially acquired a minority stake in our company. Over the past 6 years, NetEase has been a dedicated partner, providing us with creative freedom and the financial resources necessary for our studio to grow and strive. Okay, cool. I got the gist of this. But yeah, they basically had to go, hey, we're not shutting down. Because even though NetEase is doing some other stuff, we're not affected. Which is reassuring because Star Wars Eclipse looks kind of cool. I can't wait to see more on it. Hopefully it doesn't stay in like a state of quiet development for too much longer and we can start to see more of it soon. I don't know though. Anyway, let's see. We got one more. I thought this was kind of neat. One more topic to cover. Team Fortress 2 Classic coming to Steam this year. The fan favorite mod adds a new class and more content while returning some aspects of the game to an older era. So, Team Fortress 2 is not a game I have talked about very much here. I played very little of it, but it's mostly because when I finally started playing it, the game shifted to the hat-based economy meme and then kind of petered out shortly after that, right? Released in 2020, again, 5 years ago, Team Fortress 2 Classic is a mod for TF2 that reimagines the original game's early post-launch era. It's one of the most popular fan mods, and now will officially be released through Steam later this year and can be wishlisted right now. In terms of returning features from the mod, there's a new special class, the Civilian, which is inspired by Team Fortress Classic. There are also original weapons like the nail gun, dynamite pack, and tranquilizer gun that are said to be redesigned. And the traditionally 2-team game now features 4-team support in Arena, King of the Hill, and other modes, with the 3rd and 4th teams taking on colors of yellow and green. The mod restores the toon-style character shading of the game's beta, re-implements cut content, removes many later additions to the game's content and lore, and adds new content along with exclusive game modes. That was a mouthful. On the visual side, there are improved textures, models, and mapping features. While entirely new weapons and items like jump pads, flat cannons, and bricks, you can even have chains wrapped around your fists, combat is dramatically changed. There's also extensive modding support, allowing players to customize the look of their game and allowing servers to host advanced, custom weapon packs and maps. Beginning development in 2014 and formally releasing in July of 2020, TF2 Classic has been worked on for over a decade now, almost certainly longer than you've been alive. What? The description reads on Steam. Even between the massive multi-day updates, a team full of contributors is working non-stop on content balance changes and bug fixes. Being a mod, TF2 Classic Steam release will require you to own TF2, but that should be no real obstacle as it's available for free. News of this Steam port comes not long after Valve released TF2 source code, potentially open the door for more extensive mods in the future. Why would I bring this up though? Well, mostly just because I like Team Fortress in what it used to be. And so this is kind of cool. I may check this out given some time to do so. But also, Team Fortress 2 really paved the way for like hero-based shooters now, right? I think without TF2, Overwatch wouldn't make any sense. Paladins, all these other hero-based shooter games wouldn't make any sense. TF2 really kind of pioneered that in a big way. And, I just thought it'd be cool to bring that up here. But that's it for the game news. That's all I got. So thanks for hanging out. Guys, don't forget, if you're watching this, after the fact, leave a like on the video. Comment, let me know what you think about any of these stories. Are you concerned about AI taking over game development? It's a very real possibility, both in the coding and the art territory, even music. Like AI is doing everything. Will it do everything for Microsoft and then they fire all their developers? Maybe in the future. I think it's a long way from now, but hopefully not, right? Hopefully not. But again, thanks for watching, and go and play Fortnite now. So, see ya.